What's up, everybody? I'm doing what I think I'm going to call Layover Talks. I'm sitting on Layover talking. I got this cool ship flying by on the river. I'm just sitting on the river talking. So I'm just going to talk about investing, flying, maybe, whatever people want to talk about, but primarily real estate stuff while I'm chilling out here. Short videos, vertical format, nothing crazy. But we got in last night at like 11 or whatever. It's like an EDM concert next to our hotel, so we were like, oh boy, like who's gonna sleep tonight with this going on? And it turned out it was fine, but it was just funny, like we could hear it from the freeway, so I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be wild. Not nearly as wild though as last trip. We had the like furry festival at our hotel in Atlanta. They said there was like 10 to 15,000 furries out there, which I thought was pretty incredible. And they were everywhere. It was pretty cool. So shout out to the furries. Anyways, yeah, so we were talking about investing. The guy I'm flying with is like in his 50s, so we're looking at, okay, is investing in real estate for the first time and a decent idea when you're already in your 50s, looking towards retirement at 60 to 65. And I told him, I'll say exactly basically what I told him to you guys is like, I'm not 50, so we have to preface everything with everything I'm saying with the fact that I'm not there. So I'm kind of just saying what I feel right now, but what will I feel down the road? It's hard to say. But I really think that it's not a bad idea. Like the things I've been able to do in 6 to 8 years in real estate is pretty incredible compared to if I would have just thrown that money in the S&P 500 or some sort of index fund, and maybe a Roth IRA, whatever. I think I've been able to outperform that pretty well. And obviously not everyone's going to have that same experience, but I think a lot of real estate investors do, especially if you're in a market like I am, in the Midwest. For me, Milwaukee is my bread and butter, but even a place like Detroit, some of these low-cost areas that people are kind of coming to because in the last 5 years, if you're working a normal job like I am, you've noticed that like my wages have either not gone up or they've not gone up enough to make up for all the inflation that we have. So my purchasing power has gone down and my quality of life has gone down. So I think people that are living in some expensive markets are looking at those markets saying, hey, I can move to a Milwaukee, I can move to a Detroit, whatever, Cleveland, Cincinnati, places like that aren't super sexy on paper, but man, your money's gonna go so much further than some of the high cost markets like in LA or in Miami. Now it doesn't come with a lot of the perks that people love those cities for, but if you're just looking at trying to increase your quality of life, and maybe you're looking at retirement and trying to increase your quality of life into retirement, I mean, those are the markets that are really interesting to people right now, and I think people are feeling the squeeze. I think there's a lot of data out there that shows that things are not trending in the right direction, and so I think considering investing in real estate is not the worst idea if you're in your early 50s, but you gotta be careful with the market that you choose because not every market is created equal. And that's kind of what I told him. I was like, I mean, he lives in Wisconsin, so I was like, oh, like you're all right. There's a lot of low-cost markets out there, and your returns, your equity gains, and things like that aren't going to be as high as in Miami when when things are going crazy down there, or LA. But you're going to have a lot more consistent, predictable returns over the long haul. And I think starting out, especially if you're looking at retirement on the horizon, that's something that really matters. You don't necessarily want to be playing the real estate roulette game when you're getting close to having to draw on your investments for retirement. So I would really consider it as an option, but I think the first step is getting educated. You need to know what you're getting yourself into. You need to know the risks associated with it. You need to know what the utilities are like in the city that you're looking at or the town that you're looking at, because not all that is created equal across the country, and a lot of the stuff you can learn for free. You could go find a local property management company and ask them, hey, what does the average duplex pay for water bills or for insurance? Or what have you seen with property taxes in the city? Have they been going up? Have they been steady? Have they been going down? Is there any information that that might lead you to think it's going one way or the other? I mean, you can do all this stuff with no money. So you could get really educated on the market that you're looking at before you ever walk a house. And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to instill on people is like you can do a lot of this stuff for free or for very low cost. And you can become, extremely educated. So that way when you walk into your first deal, you're not just showing up, crossing your fingers and hoping something good happens. You really know what you're talking about, or at least know somebody who does, or, you've turned over enough rocks that you know kind of what you're getting into, and you can't know everything before you start. I think that's something that people do is they try to know everything before they start, so they never start. So there's a balancing act there, but I definitely think it's worth considering. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I think you could do a lot of damage in 5 years, 6 years, especially because in his point in his career, his earning potential is a lot, or his earnings are a lot higher than they were for me when I started. And what I was able to do, between partners and my own savings and having a couple good investments was pretty incredible. At least I think so. And I think somebody like that with a much higher earnings than I had at the time, or even that I do now, could do a lot of work in some of these markets. And so what I'm looking at right now, what I told him to look at is, I'm looking at things that are less than 4 units, because all the big multifamily stuff, all the big brick multifamily stuff is getting so much attention that the prices are going up and the returns are going down, and insurance costs I've seen are going sky high for those kind of buildings. So I'm looking at going the opposite direction. I'm going against the flow, and I'm saying, you know what? I'm gonna go find 100 duplexes. I'm gonna go find a bunch of single families. And yeah, sure, I have 100 roofs then to replace and 100 water heaters and this and that, but I think the returns long term, right now at least, are so much higher with these smaller deals that aren't as sexy, that has a 16 unit or a 32 unit brick building. That's where I'm going. That's what I'm looking at. So it's not going to work for everybody. There's a lot of people that make way more money than me that do bigger deals, that only look at brick multifamily. But if you're starting out and you're still a small investor, that's the place to look, especially for a Milwaukee type investor, or a Midwest Rust Belt type person. So those are kind of my thoughts. Like I said, I'm literally just sitting on the layover, talking on the river. And I'm going to try to start doing these on every layover if I have something interesting to talk about, and see if people like the format. It's vertical, it's not cut, it's just me talking. So some people probably hate it, maybe some people like it, but let me know what you think. And if you can leave a comment on things that you want to talk about or hear me talk about, or are just curious about in general, I'll try to shed some light on stuff, and then I'll get back to some more put together videos when I'm actually home. So I appreciate anybody that spent the time watching.